to read from the floor, so I look forward to those as well. I'm going to be doing some poems now, and we'll then have Chloe and Jasmine, and we'll have a break. So that's how it's going to go. This first poem is a poem about regrets. I regret not being a lion, hanging out on African plains, watching sunsets in the evening, hunting deer at dawn, padding through the grass, big guys stepping aside, as I flash my tail in a surly manner. You want trouble? I'll oblige. Checking out the lady lions, I always get my way. We bring our cubs upright. They play outside all day. Excuse me, while I climb this tree, lays on a comfortable branch, I can count the stars from here, or slip into a trance. I regret not being a lion, never knowing what boredom means. Watch me run, I'm really fast, try this in your dreams. I've a coat of many colours, reflecting changing light. They say the ark took only two, I the captain, you the crew. It's easier being a lion than it is to be a bee. No honey to collect, no workers stinging me. With long grass for a bed, our cubs are all well fed. A lion always wins, always stays ahead. I regret not being a lion. My career advice was poor. I have poured my way up to the top and remained a king for sure. Saying earlier that today is National Poetry Day +1, but I've got a slight problem with having a National Poetry Day in the sense that if, like me, you're somebody who writes poetry or thinks about poetry, it's there every day. So this is every day is National Poetry Day. Starting with a builder's brew, I read a poet whose lines speak true. Les Murray's my favourite muse just now. Along the shore and into town, pen and paper on word alert, catching pollen for my net, a gamut unfertilised as yet. I find a cafe, order coffee, flesh out verses one by one, seek a meaning for my song. In the garret I type a draft, check for leakage fore and aft, then boldly launch this fledgling craft. Each day is Poetry Day, while I breathe and see and hear and taste. Hand me those spare words, I promise they won't go to waste.
You want to come in?
There's an anniversary this month, 30 years ago, an African poet called Benjamin Loises, South African poet, was hanged by the apartheid government for saying the right things at the wrong time. And on the day he was hanged, his mother spoke on the radio after he was executed and said that the tragedy that happened to her son would inspire the struggle to go on, and indeed it did. And I think this is a poem which still has relevance. It's called When You Hang a Poet. When you hang a poet, you have not shut his mouth. When you strip his dancing body from the gallows, you have not shut his mouth. When your thieves of the light set his laughing corpse on fire, you have not shut his mouth. When weighted with your guilt, you sink his singing ashes to the ocean floor, you have not shut his mouth. You have opened a door, you have awoken every poet who will in turn awake 1,000 more. Shelley's unacknowledged legislators of the world, for Africa's sake, demand that this be heard. When you hang a poet, you have not shut his mouth. Listen, he is speaking to you now. You have opened a door through which one day freedom will walk. A little poem next, which is it's about something my mother and father like to do together. Not that. I'm sure they did also. But after the first flush of lust had worn off, this sort of took its place. And I should say my father came from County Sligo in Ireland, and he was an electrician. My mother came from County Clare, and she was a nurse, and they met in London. So this is called Time and the Man. My mother bought broken clocks at jumble sales. My father mended them, spent hours fiddling with the mechanisms, uncoiling the stuck springs. With his sharp electrician's eye and nimble fingers used to separating wires, he pried apart the innards until discovering a secret hurt at the heart of time. Hours later, at tea time, we tiptoed in, found him trance-like, hand cupped to the mechanism, released from its cage of inactivity, tick-tocking rhythmically, majestically, setting time going as shadows crossed the room, and we longed for our Saturday sausages and the coming of the moon. Apparently supermarkets are a good place to pick up people. So I wrote this poem. I haven't tried it myself, but I wrote this poem anyway, believing it was possibly true. And when I wrote this poem, I called it Safeway Sex, thinking that's quite a nice pun. But unfortunately, Safeway has been taken over by Morrison, so so I've lost that title. But anyway, I think I'm going to rename it The Isles of Love. It beats mending clocks. Anyway, let's put it like that. Love grew among the aisles when their trolleys bumped at the intersection between sauces and pickles, biscuits and cereal. Their smiles, chilled at first, grew ambient, setting passion to simmer gently for 4 to 5 minutes before removing from the heat, proceeding to the drudgery of kitchen cleaners, cooking foils and clothes wash. At frozen foods they paused. Life is not all candlelit dinners. Sometimes there is only time to shove Linda McCartney in the microwaves, lapping at shore edge, his face at rest on her breasts. Was it confectionery that sweetened them? Did softly lit wine racks loosen their tongues, their clothes? They won't say how love grew among the aisles, how 2 trolleys became one, a gondola of tomatoes became choral cantatas, how ribbons of tissue became ribbons on a rolls. They won't say, because their love remains unspoken, their yearning cannot run to action. They long to winter under a distant sun, check out of this weekly ritual, become 2, forever priced as 1. Okay, I'm going to finish my first contribution of the evening by returning to the theme of regrets, poem called Regrets. And I was looking through a copy of the Financial Times, and the journalist Lisa Pollock said, on their deathbed, no one says they wish they'd gone to more meetings. Regrets. On his deathbed, he wished he'd gone to more meetings, had more delayed train journeys, waited longer in supermarket queues, encountered more options when phoning the gas board, contributed more to work collections, stayed longer at birthday and Christmas dues, been more fulsome in praise of idiot managers, worked on long after retirement age, forfeiting a globe-trotting pension gap year, an affair with a woman half his age. How much better if there were more dental appointments, more bouts of flu, more spam mail, more sweaty tube journeys, more early morning alarms, hurry, get dressed, there's no time to blink, moments. How much better if he wasn't on his deathbed, heading for God knows where, and he awoke in time to hear someone say, that covers everything. Do you have any questions? Thank you very much. And now we've got